Welcome to the middle of the desert. Ooh, arrows. So we're not in our usual space today. The village is over yonder, I think. We are out in the desert here because what we're going to build today strictly doesn't belong in the village. And it actually belongs in Adland, which I'm going to petition to be in this area. If not, we can move it, but I'm going to petition for Adland to be in this area. So let's make a few things here, and I'm going to talk about what we are going to build. So I have very recently played a game called Dingo's Dream. It's a 2 to 4 player game, and it's a very relaxing game. I very enjoyed it, like much more than I thought I was going to. It's published by Red Raven Games, designed by Alf Cigarette, I believe his name is. I may be mispronouncing that horribly there, and I apologize if I am. But yes, it's definitely a game that interests me quite a bit. One that wasn't on my radar at all, and like I said, I played it today, very much enjoyed it. And I think it's going to be able to translate well to a game at Adland. And if you are happening to look for a game, I know Christmas is coming up. Some of you might live in a big enough city to have your own game store nearby. If you're in Canada, 401 Games is shipping, if you order by the 12th, I think 401 Games will get your order to you for Christmas. So the idea of the game is you have a 25 tiles. It's in a 5x5 grid of different items. It's 5 suits and 5 different. It's called locations, but you can just think of them as values, I suppose. But you have five locations in each of 5 different colors to make up 25 tiles. You just have an extra tile. So the one thing we're going to need is 25 different blocks. That's going to be the biggest challenge we're going to be facing here because there isn't a huge variety of blocks. Well, I say that. There's enough blocks in Minecraft to get 25 different blocks. However, it's a question of getting the ones that make the most sense together. So, for example, if we use gravel, you couldn't break it because it might turn into flint. And you would kind of want all ones that can be broke with the same tool, perhaps. You know, it's getting the right balance of the various blocks. For example, we couldn't use stone unless we had a whole bunch of silk touch picks that people could use as well. But we're going to see what we can get here. Right now we're not even halfway, but we're certainly working on it. Alright, so we have most of everything situated here. Most of these blocks will be changed out for various other blocks in the finalized design, but for testing purposes, this is going to work just fine. I just like to get most of these breakable by the same tool here. So the other thing we are going to need for this is a block for each player. Which will be this one. So there'll be 4 different colours of hardened clay. This setup also needs to be replicated for each player. But we're also going to need 3 droppers here, each one containing a replica of the various items in the grid over there. So I'm going to make a replica of each, and I'll be back in just a second here. That's Arx's place, I think. Over on the hill? Might be Beast's place, but I'm pretty sure that's Arx's place. I did make a slight error of judgment here. We are going to need a bit more of the dyed clay. We're in fact going to need probably 25 or 26 for each player. Because occasionally it will be, or it could potentially replace every single block that a player has. It's very unlikely that it will do that, but that's the maximum that we will need to make this work, so we'll make 25 if we can. But anyway, we have basically everything set up here, at least as much as I need to tell you how the game functions. So you will start with, I'm going to throw these in a chest here, you'll start with one of your colour, one block of your colour, and a grid of 25 other blocks. Randomly, one of these droppers will trigger. We will just represent that with various buttons for now, but later on we can randomize the process completely by having a 3-ray random switch to select one of these droppers. That's probably not going to work, because those will trigger each other. 1 second. There we go. Alright, so let's also basically make sure our entire inventory is empty of any other blocks here. Otherwise we could get confused as to what we get. Alright, we should be good. So one of these will trigger randomly. Let's say it's this one. Gold ore. So the gold ore, in the actual game, it's a tile, and it would flip over. It's also not gold ore, but it would flip over to show your animal. In the game, you have various animals. That's where the blocks of other color will come into. You will then have to place your 26th tile, or in this case the 26th block, which will happen to be the block of our color, somewhere on this outer rim here. Not in the corner block, somewhere on one of these edges. So let's say, for example, we place it... Excuse me. Can you... I'm trying to introduce a game here. Can you stop? Thank you. Anyway, you place it somewhere. Let's say we want to place it here. Once we do that, we will press this button to shift this entire line across. So in the actual game with the tiles, you place your 26 tile somewhere on the outside, slide everything down. You can either slide horizontally or vertically, but slide it into position, and the tile on the opposite side will get kicked out. In this case, it's netherrack for us. And that is that. So you can see stuff starts to shift around, stuff starts to move, which is all interesting. And then this will now be your 26th block. So you'll go over to the thing again, and let's say we get this one randomly, and we're having to do acacia wood. So the acacia wood, we would have to break and replace with a block of our color. Can you watch out for cactus, buddy? Alright. Break and replace with a block of our color. Or in the case of the actual game, the tile flips over. Can't do a flipping over tile in Minecraft, unfortunately. It's a less elegant solution, but it works. And then we have to place our 26th brick, in the case of the nether brick here that kicked out, somewhere on the outside. So let's say we end up placing it here. Press the button. Our 26th block now becomes the polished andesite. So that's how the game progresses. It'll keep going until all of the... or the very maximum it will go until every one of these droppers is empty, basically. And then, essentially every tile will be flipped over. But before that happens, the whole objective of the game is to have, in the case of the actual game, the flipped over tiles with your animal showing. In the case of our version, your color of stained clay in a particular pattern. So at the very start of the game, a card is flipped over, which has a 5x5 grid to show, hey, this is the pattern you're looking for. You have to have your animals on each of these squares of the 5x5 grid. Go and do that. Doesn't matter what the other squares are, but say, for example, it would want a plus shape of animals. So as long as you have every one of these along here and along here in your color, you would win, basically. That's your whole objective. So it's kind of a mix between a sliding puzzle and a a placement puzzle. It's an interesting little game. It's very relaxing, honestly. But that's the whole idea behind it. And this is the basic mechanic that I was like, yes, this can work. We use pistons to push stuff across. It's beautiful. It works here really well. The other thing we need to do, like I said, is to randomize these guys. So have only one of them trigger. Ideally, we could have a line of 3 of them and have them feed into each other. And do it kind of that way, like we've done in the past. Maybe have a line of 4 of them so we have a bit of breathing room. And then have a shuffler, kind of like we've done in previous board games we've made on the Mindcrack server. Like Clue and Gravwell. So we need to do that. We would also need to make some kind of display which would randomly draw a pattern. Now there's only, I believe, 18 cards in the game that have the various patterns on them. I'm scared for this guy. I'm going to break these cactus here. But yes, there's only 18 different patterns that you're aiming for. So we can get those and somehow have them display. I'm thinking on maybe a square of redstone lamps, perhaps? That's an issue we'll have to iron out. This is the basic concept here, and I'll see what else I can do. So we've moved a little closer to town here, just a little bit easier to grab my stuff, but I'm going to work on our display for Dingo's Dream. So like I believe I said, there's a card you draw that has a pattern on it that you're trying to replicate with the flipped over tiles, or the coloured blocks in our case. So we're going to try and make a 5x5 display and have different patterns on it. Now in the actual game there's 18 different cards. Not all of them have patterns, I believe. I think some of them are blank. But we're going to go with probably 9 patterns, because then we can just fit it into one dispenser. But we need to wire all these up, and I'm pretty certain how we're going to do it. We just need to get all these individually wired into a I was going to say 7-segment display, but it's more of a 25-segment display. Alright. So there is one other super important thing to note with this design, is that every single card, every single pattern in the game has 4 times rotational symmetry. It also has 4 horizontal and vertical mirror symmetry, but the main thing we're concerned about is that it has 4 times rotational symmetry. So really, we only need 9 inputs. We need to power this light, 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 and the light in the middle. And then hook the 4 corners together, etc., etc. Hook whatever we need together. In fact, we can probably get away with some other minimalization by utilizing the mirror symmetry as well. But that'll all come down to optimization once we get down to the nitty-gritty here. Okay, so I jumped into a creative world here to design this monstrosity. Actually, it's surprisingly compact for what it is. Each of these redstone torches here, they control a single individual pixel on our 5x5 screen. We can replace them with levers, which I meant to do before I started recording, but I forgot, and I could go back and restart the recording, but that would indicate a level of professionalism that this channel simply is not capable of. But now that those are off, you'll see that some of these are off. We can fiddle with this guy here, and that'll turn that one on. This guy will turn, I think, that one on. Yeah, so each of these levers controls an individual pixel, which is good. Which one did that control? The bottom corner. Okay, right. So, excellent, that works. Now then, we can actually combine some of these connections, because like I said, we have rotational symmetry and we have horizontal and vertical symmetry. So essentially, if this light is on, We know from reflection symmetry that this one will be on. We know from rotational symmetry from this one that this one will be on, and reflection this one will be on. Therefore, if we know that these two are on, these two are on, then reflection over here, or rotation, or whatever, and same thing over here. You know, from this one, we know 8 lights. From this one, we know 8 lights. From this one, we only know 4 because it's in the middle. From this one, we know 4. From this one, we know 4 because it's on a corner. From this one, we know 1 because it's in the middle. But you know what I mean. We can simplify this down. Simplify this down to, I believe, 6 connections? Am I thinking about this correctly? Because we can get the 1 here, which will control this one. We can get, or we knew we could simplify it down to 9. But we can get the 1 here, which will control this one. We can get the 1 here, which controls this one. We can get the 1 here, which controls this one. This one is on its own in this 3x3 subsection. This one's on its own in this 3x3 subsection. And this one. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom! Let's get that done. Alright guys, check this out. This lever here controls the 4 centers. This lever here controls a single center. This lever here controls the 4 outer plus shape things. This lever here controls the inner crosses, or the inner 4 cross, whatever. This lever here controls the outer 4 corners. And this lever here controls the big one, the 8 double corner doohickeys. So we flick everything on. Boom, boom, boom. Ha 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 ha. Oh, it works, and it's so magnificent. Let's see if I can replicate any of the patterns from memory just by fiddling with the levers here, I think. What do I need to turn off here? You? No. You? I think that's one of the I'm pretty sure that's one of the patterns in the game. Alright. So then the idea is, like I said, we're going to have 9 patterns. So we're going to have item sorters leading on to these. These lines will probably be out there somewhere. I just had these round to the front so I could actually see it changing. But we're going to have redstone torches. Do you remember how we did the roulette machine in a previous season? I believe season 5. It's going to be like that, where we have torches. These lines will be extended. And then we'll have torches under certain locations. So let's say we wanted, or let's say we had a full line under here, like so. And we wanted, for example, the ones we have on now, we want this one on, we want this one on, we want this one on, etc. So we will then run redstone along here, like so. Let's do it like that. So that's going to keep those torches off. We can have this inverted or whatever to keep them off when the lever's off, etc, etc. But now if we unhook all the levers here and plug this in, so we're going to have 9 of these different patterns turning on different sets of lights. So different combinations of redstone torches on each of these 6, and each one of these will be hooked up to an item sorter. So then the dropper or the dispenser will dispense 1 item randomly, and let's say it's number 2. It goes down, finds a second item filter, and triggers this. So then these 3 lines turn on, we get the pattern on the screen, which isn't quite right. It's a little bit balked now. There's a couple of dead spots in the redstone where I need to extend it a little further, I think. But you get the idea how that's going to function, right? It's, you know, we have essentially a key, and it powers it, and bish bash bosh, away you go. That's basically the full plan sorted out. Item sorters, super simple. yeah, we've basically got everything we need to worked out and designed. Now it's just a question of building it on the server. However, we need an Adland. So if you want to see me and the Mindcrack guys play Dingo's Dreams, the Minecraft version, then get on Pack and tell him that he should start setting a plot for Adland, because I got stuff to build there. If you want to play Dingo's Dreams, then I would highly recommend doing so. This video is not sponsored by the company in any way. I just found the game very... It's a beautiful looking game for one, and it's just relaxing. I've never been so relaxed playing a game. I would highly recommend checking out. You might have some time before Christmas if you live near a game store to go find it and pick it up for a friend or a family member. It's a super simple game, probably kids friendly as well. It's like, I would highly recommend it. Super highly recommend it. Even if you haven't played many designer board games in recent times. Anyway, guys, I'm going to have another video coming up separately for the actual design, a tutorial, so to speak, of the 5x5 segment display. Leave a like and a comment below if you want to see that in the near future. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I shall see you all in the next video.